My name is Samuel, and this is my final project for CS 140. It's the Shu Magic squared. And the first thing we have right here is the import function. The import function is always used whenever you're trying to import models from the library to the Python program. And then we have the import random, which is used in importing random numbers, which we are going to use later in the video for the game. And then we have the import total. The import total is always used to call the total graphics when you're trying to draw. And we have the wins, the losses, and the run variables, which are stored with 0, 0, 0. This will be used later in the game to keep track of our total scores. And then we have the def main, which will take us to the main, open and close bracket, and it will call the whole program. And then we have the global wins, global losses, and global runs. This will be used to access the variable that are outside the whole program. And then we have the main menu in the open and close bracket, which means it's a definition. And then we come right here to call the main menu, which says this is a Shu Magic square game. Instruction on how to play the game. Numbers between 1 through 9 needs to be arranged in a 3 by 3 grid square. We can only select the same number once. If the sum of each rows in the grid, the sum of each columns, and the sum of each diagonal is all equal 15, you win, else you lose. Enter Shu numbers from 1 through 9. The first three numbers represent the first row in the grid square. The next three represent the second row in the grid square. The final three represent the third row in the grid square. Like this, we are trying to make the instruction as clear as possible for new players that are new to the game, that don't know how to play. They can be able to play the game when they actually read the instruction and understand what the game is about. And then we go back right here, we have the start new game variable, starting the Y value. And then we start the while loop just so we can be able to continuously play the game. And then we also have the try and the except, which undo all the exceptions in the game. Let's say you were supposed to enter numbers from 1 through 9, and then you went on to enter a character. The exceptions, the try and accepts, undo all the exceptions and tell you that there's an exception. And then you just have to go back and look at what you did wrong. And then we have the current score, we have the wins, we have the losses and the runs, which we keep track of the scores, like I said. And then we have the option variables stored in the inputs value. And the input function is always used to prompt the user to inputs wherever the user is supposed to input. So we always use the input function just so the user can put in any number, any value the user is supposed to input. And right here, it says to start a new game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2 to quit the game, enter 0, select an option. Let's say the user select the option 1, which is enter 1. It goes right here, if option equals 1, and we're using the if else statement just so we can be able to get, if something is not this, then it's going to be the other way. So we use the if else statement, and then it says if option equals 1, we prompt the start new game, which means it's going to prompt the start game definition, and it goes right here, def start game. It says we have the global wins, global losses, global runs, because we have to keep track, like I said. And then we also have to try and accept, which handles all the exceptions. And then we have a Shu grid in a list, which has a list of all the 9 numbers that we're going to use to play the game. And then we have the input stored in an empty list, which we accept all the user's inputs. And then we have a count, which is equal 0. The count variable basically helps in controlling the loop when we have select number from 1 through 9, which is right here. It says for I in range 1 through 10, we have the num in the list, which has 1st through 9th, which is going to help us while we are trying to input our numbers. And then we have I variable stored in the input value, which says enter the num count, Shu number. The num, we just take on the num list from 1st through 9th, and then we have the count. We just keep count of our loop as we go, as we input the numbers. And then it says if I is less than 1, print the number has to be in the range of 1 through 9. We enter the number, which means we cannot enter a number that is less than 1. And then it returns the value to the I. And then we have a leaf I is greater than 9. The number print, the number has to be in the range of 1 through 9. We enter the number, which means if we try to enter a number that is greater than 9, it's going to pop a print message that says the number has to be in the range of 1 through 9. And then we have a leaf I in low shoe grid. If we, for the case might be, if we enter a number twice, the same number twice, and it's basically inputs into the low shoe grid list, and then the program is going to sense that we just input the same number twice, so it's going to print a message that says you cannot enter the same number twice, and it's going to return the value to the I. And then it says else, if the user entered the right integers, it's going to append the I to the inputs that we created for the empty list. And as you can see, the inputs is different from the input function, because this I is a capital letter I, so it's a different inputs. And then we just assign the inputs variable to the low shoe grid, and then we also have the count plus 1, which keep count of our loop as we go on. And then the outputs prints low shoe grid, the list, column 3, and then whenever we have a column in a list, it's either the column is the first number in the list, or it might be the last number in the list, or it might be the difference between two numbers, which means we have a list first and then we have a number last. That means we're talking about the first number and the second to the last number that is in the list, which means it's just like the range where we have range 1 through 10. We know the computer is going to give us number from 1 through 9 and not more than 9. And let's say we have range 1 through 11. The computer is going to give us number from 1 through 10 and not more than 10. So it's just the same as the list, which give us the column and the next number. And then since the column gave us the column in 3, it's going to give us number from 0 through 2. And then we print the next one, which says 3 colon 6, which means the computer is going to print 3 through 5. And then we have the 6 through the last column, which means the computer is going to print 6 through 9. And it says, if some low shoe grid, since we have the sum in the open and close bracket, that means we have a definition for it. And then we go back right here. It says def sum low shoe grid, which says row 1, low shoe grid list number 0 plus low shoe grid list number 1 plus low shoe grid list number 2. And then we have the second row, which is list number 3, list number 4, list number 5, and so on and so forth. And then we have the column 1, which have the list number 0, list number 3, list number 6, and so on and so forth. And then we have the diagonals, which have the low shoe grid list number 0, list number 4, and list number 8. And it says, if row 1 all equals 15, which means if the addition of all the first row equals 15, row 2 equals 15, row 3 equals 15, column 1 15, column 2 equals 15, column 3 equals 15, and the diagonals all equal 15. If you remember in the instructions, it says if all the rows, columns, and diagonals all equal 15, then it's a low shoe grid. So it's going to return true, which means it's a low shoe grid, and all else, if it's not equals 15, it's going to return false. And then we go back to our start game, and then we see if the sum is a low shoe grid, then it prints U1. This is a low shoe magic square. And then it gives us the wins plus 1, runs plus 1, which means it's going to be in a loop. And then it says else, print your loss. This is not a low shoe magic square. And it's going to print our losses and our runs. And then it also accepts the value error, which means if a user enters the character while it was trying to enter the numbers from 1 through 9, it's going to print the user as enter the character, enter a number from 1 through 9, and restart the game. And once the final output has been set, it goes back and restart the loop. And the user will be prompted to enter another option to start a new game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2. Let's say the user decides to enter 2, it's going to a leave option equals 2. It's going to prompt the random definition. And then we go right here to look at the definition of the random. We have the global wins, global losses, global runs as usual. And then we have a random norms variable starting the list of a range from 1 through 10. The reason why we start the range 1 through 10 in list is because once we get the range from 1 through 9, it's going to be in a list since we are dealing with a 2D dimensional list. And then we have a random dot shuffle. It's going to randomly shuffle the random numbers that was generated from 1 through 9, which was why we import the random. And then we also assign the random numbers that was shuffled. We assign the old number in the list to the Lushu grid. And then we print out the Lushu list 0 through 2, which is 0 list 3. And as I said, if we have a 0 through 3 list, it's going to print just 0 to the last number and not the final number, which means it's going to print 0 through 2. And then the next one is going to print 3 through 5. And then the last one is going to print 6 through 9. And then it says, if some Lushu grid, if the sum is a Lushu grid, it's going to print your one. This is a Lushu grid, and then it's going to print the wins and the runs. Or else, if the sum is not a Lushu grid, it's going to print your loss. This is not a Lushu grid. It prints the wins and the runs. And then we go back right here to the options. Since it's going to restart, it says to start the game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2 to quit the game, enter 0. Let's say the user decides to quit the game and he enters 0. He said a leaf option equals 0. It says print, thanks for playing Shu Magic Square game. Come again next time, and then it breaks the game. Whenever we print breaks, you always like stop the old outputs. And then we also have right here, we have the total graphics, which we keep track of our scores. And then we go right here, we have definition of the total graphics. We already import total just so we can be able to use this function. And then we have the total screen running set to true so we don't get a termination error when we try to exit on click. And then we also have the total title, which is the Shu Magic Square game. And then we have the total.bg color, which we give us the background color, and we set the color to black. And then we also have the total.speed, the speed of the total, which is 1. The user can set the speed to wherever the user wants. And then we have the total.shape, which is a square. And then we have the color of the total, which is white. And then we have the total.pan up, so we can be able to erase the pan. And then we add the total, so we can be able to add the total when we are drawing on our total graphics. And then we set the total to go to 0 and 250. And once we set the go to function, it's an X and Y variable, which means we set our X to 0 and our Y to 250. And then we call the total.write function, which writes our output. We have the total runs, total losses, and total wins. And then we format the runs, losses, and wins. We can align the writing to be in the center, and then the fonts, and then the color, and then we exit on click, and we call the old program. And now I'm about to run the program and see what we are looking at. And as you see, we have the instructions. It says this is a Shu Magic Square game. Instruction on how to play this game. Numbers between 1 through 9 needs to be arranged in a 3x3 grid square. You can only select the same number once. If the sum of each rows in the grid, the sum of each columns, and the sum of each diagonals all equal 15, you win, else you lose. It says enter Lushu numbers from 1 through 9. The first 3 numbers represent the first row in the grid square. The next 3 represent the second row in the grid square. The final 3 represent the third row in the grid square. And then we have our current score set, the losses, and the runs. And then it says to start a new game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2 to quit the game, enter 0, select an option. I'm just going to select the first option. It says enter the first Lushu number. I'm going to enter 1, the second 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just going to see what this is going to do. See, it shows our total runs, our total losses, and our total wins, which is 0. We exit on click. And then right here, we have the list. It says we input 1, 2, 3 as the first row, 4, 5, 6, second row, 7, 8, 9, third row. And as you can see, that does not equal 15. And it says you're lost. This is not a Shu Magic square. And we have a note right here that says exit out of the turtle graphics to continue playing. And then we have our current score, win 0, losses 1, run 1. And it says to start a new game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2 to quit the game, enter 0, select an option. I'm just going to select 2 just to see what the random is going to do. And that's what we have the random function for, just so we can be able to pick numbers at random. And right here, it says our total runs is 2, total losses is 2, and total wins is 0. And then I'm just going to exit out. And right here, we still have our current score that says win 0, losses 2, runs 2. To start a new game, enter 1. To pick numbers at random, enter 2. To quit the game, enter 0. I'm just going to enter 1. And then I'm going to pick a Shu number. The first one, 4, 9, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 1, 6. And as you can see, we have our total runs 3, total losses 2, and total wins 1. And then we just exit on click. And then it says our current score is 1, wins 1, losses 2, run 3. It says you won. This is a Shu Magic square. As you can see, we have 4, 9, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 1, 6. If you add the 4, 9, 2, it gives us 15, 3, 5, 7, 15, 8, 1, 6, 15, 8, 5, 2, 15, 4, 5, 6, 15, 3, 5, 7, 15, 9, 5, 1, 15, 7, 2, 6, 15, 4, 3, 8, 15. And then you said select an option. I'm just going to select an option that is not part of the options that was stated, which the option that was stated is 1, 2, and 0. So I'm just going to select 3 and see what it's going to say. As you can see, we still have our total runs, total losses, and total wins. Exit on click. And then it says the inputs was invalid. Read the option again and select carefully. So I'm just going to read the option again and select carefully, which says to start a new game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2 to quit the game, enter 0, select an option. So I'm going to select 1, enter the first Shu number. I'm going to select 2. And then I'm going to select the same number just to see what the computer is going to say. 2. We still have our total runs, total losses, and total wins. And it says you cannot enter the same number twice. And then I'm just going to go back and select an option again. And then it says select the first Shu number. I'm just going to click on a character and see what the computer is going to say. I'm going to click on F. It says user has entered a character, enter a number from 1 to 9 and restart the game. So I'm just going to select an option 1 and then enter the first Shu number. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It says you lost. This is not a Shu Magic square. And then we have a total runs 4, total losses 3, and total wins 1. And then I'm just going to select the same option again. And I'm going to select the number that is not in the range of 1 through 9. I'm going to select 0. And then right here, it says the number has to be in the range of 1 through 9. Re-enter the number. I'm just going to select an option 1 again. And then I'm going to select 10 as the first Shu number to see what it's going to say, which is greater than 9. And again, it says the number has to be in the range of 1 through 9. Re-enter the number. So I'm just going to select an option, which is 2. We still have our random, which says total runs 5, total losses 4, total wins 1. And then it says you lost. This is not a loose shoe square. And then it says to start a new game, enter 1 to pick numbers at random, enter 2 to quit the game, enter 0. So I'm just going to select an option, which is 0, just to say. And then it says, thanks for playing Shu Magic Square game. Come again next time. And this is the old code, and everything runs perfectly fine. And we also have the flow chart. And the flow chart is right here. It's pretty straightforward. It says we have to start and we have the main menu. It says select 1 to play, select 2 for random gameplay, select 0 to exit game. You just select 1, you assign number from 1 to list to each. You assign numbers from 1 through 9 to each list without repeating the same number twice. Check if the number are magic, display the outcome, and then it goes back to select 1 to play, select 2 for random gameplay, select 0 to exit the game. You select 1, assign numbers from 1 through 9 to each list without repeating the same number twice. If you repeat the same number twice or an invalid character, it goes back and restart the game. And then let's say you select 2, select numbers from 1 through 9, select at a random to check if it's magic, displays the outcome, and then it goes back and restart the game. Let's say you selected 0, the all outputs just ends, and this is the flow chart.